Hello everybody. We have completed the reading of history till yesterday's readings. From today, we will start the reading of the Indian polity from Lucent objective. We'll start with constitutional development of India. Which of the following exercised the most profound influence in framing the Indian Constitution? The Government of India Act 1935. The first attempt to introduce a representative and popular element in the governance of India was made through Indian Councils Act 1861. Which of the following acts introduced communal electorate in India? Indian Councils Act 1909. Accession region. The Government of India Act of 1858 transferred the governance of India from the East India Company to the Crown. True. The East India Company was unwilling to administer India anymore. No, this is false. By virtue of which act diarchy was introduced in India? Government of India Act 1919. The instrument of instructions contained in the Government of India Act 1935 has been incorporated in the Constitution of India in the year 1950 as emergency provisions. The Government of India Act 1935 was based on the principle of federation and parliamentary system. The monopoly of Indian trade of the East India Company was abolished by the Charter Act 1813. Consider the following acts and mention them in the chronological order. Okay. The Regulating Act, then Pitt India Act, then the Charter Act, then the Indian Council Act. Mention the years in which these acts were passed. Mention those years in the comments. Consider the following statements. The objective of the Montego-Chelmsford reforms of 1919 was to give power to the local government. Now, to establish diarchy in the provinces through the extension of the provincial government. This is also true. Consider the following with reference to the provisions of Government of India Act 1935. Which of these three are embodied in the Government of India Act 1935? Okay. Establishment of an All India Federation through provincial autonomy with a government responsible to an elected legislature. This is also true. Redistribution of provinces and the creation of two new provinces. No. With reference to the colonial period of India, the trade monopoly of the East India Company was ended by the Charter Act of 1813. Consider the following statements with reference to the provisions of Parliamentary Reform Act in the colonial India. Which of these three are true? The Parliamentary Reform Act raised the additional number of central legislature. True. It introduced the principle of communal representation in the legislature. This is also right. It empowered the legislation to discuss the budget and to move resolutions on it. This is also true. Two independent states of India and Pakistan were created by the Independence Act, which is Indian Independence Act. Accession region. The Government of India Act 1919 was passed by the British Parliament to introduce diarchy in the provincial government. This is true. Montego-Chelmsford reforms or Montego-Chelmsford Committee had recommended the introduction of diarchy in the provincial government. This is also true. Reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Consider the following statements. The Regulating Act of 1773 was passed by the British Parliament in order to establish parliamentary control over the administration of the East India Company's territory in India. True. Make the Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal. This is also right. End of dual system of administration in India. This is also right. The first definite step to provide parliamentary control over East India Company was taken by the Regulating Act 1773. The Montego-Chelmsford Reform Report formed the basis of the Government of India Act 1919. Assertion and reason. The Government of India Act 1935 and the Constitution of India are both lengthy documents. True. The Government of India Act 1935 was taken as a model and substantially incorporated in the Constitution of India. This is also true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Through which one of the following were commercial activities of the East India Company finally put to an end? The Charter Act of 1833. Which of the following vested the Secretary of State for India with supreme control over the Government of India? Government of India Act 1858. Diarchy was first introduced under Montego-Chelmsford reforms. Which of the following was or were the main feature of the Government of India Act 1919? Introduction of separate electorates for Muslims. No. Devolution of legislative authority by the centre. True. Expansion and reconstitution of central and provincial legislatures. This is also true. In the federation under the Act of 1935, residuary powers were given to the Governor General. The Indian legislature was made bicameral by the first time by the Government of India Act of 1919. Next matching. List 1 is the acts and list 2 are largely based on. Okay. Indian Council Act 1909, Morlamento Reforms, Government of India Act 1919, Montego-Chelmsford Reforms, Government of India Act 1935, Simon Commission Report and Joint Select Committee Recommendation, Indian Independence Act 1945, Mountbatten Plan. Which of the following is correct? The Nehru Report had advocated the inclusion of fundamental rights in the Constitution of India in 1928. This Nehru Report had come in 1928. Which of the following acts was described by Jawaharlal Nehru as Charter of Slavery? Government of India Act 1935. In which year did the Parliament adopt Indian Constitution? In 1950. Which act introduced diarchy at the centre? Government of India Act 1935. Which was not a member of Cabinet Mission? John Simon. Which of the following was the biggest source for the Constitution of India? The Government of India Act 1935. The Constitution of India came into force on Jan 26, 1950. The Supreme Court of India was set up by the Regulating Act 1773. The distribution of powers between the centre and the states in the Indian Constitution is based on the scheme provided in the Government of India Act 1935. Which of the following is or are the principal features of the Government of India Act 1919? Introduction of diarchy in the executive government of the provinces, right? Introduction of separate communal electorate for the Muslims, no. Devolution of legislative authority by the centre to the provinces, this is also true. Next chapter, Constituent Assembly. Who was the chairman of the Union Power Committee of Constituent Assembly of India? Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. What was the basis for constituting the Constitu- Constituent Assembly of India? The Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. The Constitution of India was adopted on 26th November 1949. Who presided over the first meeting of the Indian Constituent Assembly? Sachindranath Sinha. Who among the following was the advisor to the drafting committee of Constituent Assembly? B.N. Rao. The Constituent Assembly of the India started functioning from 9th December 1946. Who among the following had moved the objective resolution which formed the basis of the preamble of the Constitution of India in the Constituent Assembly on December 13, 1946? Jawaharlal Nehru. Who among the following was not a member of the Constituent Assembly? Jayaprakash Narayan. The Constitution of India was completed on November 26, 1949. How many sessions of the Indian Constituent Assembly were conducted for the formulation of Indian Constitution? 11. The first day session of Indian Constituent Assembly was chaired by Dr. Sachindranath Sinha. How much time the Constituent Assembly took to frame the Constitution of India? 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. The Constituent Assembly set up a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on 29th August 1947, who was the chairman of the Provincial Constitution Committee of the Constituent Assembly, Sardar Patel. The number of members included in the Constitution Drafting Committee was 7. The first session of the Constitutional Assembly was held on December 9, 1946. Who proposed the preamble before the drafting committee of the Constitution? Jawaharlal Nehru. Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly of Independent India? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Deferment of adult franchise for 15 years was advocated in Constituent Assembly by Maulana Azad. Members of Constituent Assembly were elected by provincial assemblies. Who amongst the following was the chairperson of the drafting committee set up by the Constituent Assembly? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. During which of the following periods did the Constituent Assembly deliberate upon and finalize the Constitution of India, December 1946 to November 1949? How many members were initially there in the Constituent Assembly of India? 300. Who among the following was the chairman of the Union Constitution Committee of the Constituent Assembly? Jawaharlal Nehru. After the independent India, how many committees were formed and who are the chairmen of the all committees? Mention those in the comments. Those are very, very important. Next, next chapter. Salient features of the Constitution. The presidential government operates on the principle of separation of power. Matching. List 1 is the forms of government and list 2 is the principles. Presidential system, separation of powers. Parliamentary system, close relationship between executive and legislature. Federal system, division of power. Unitary system, concentration power. Which of the following countries have an unwritten constitution? United Kingdom. The basic features of the Indian Constitution which are not amendable under Article 368 are sovereignty, territorial integrity, federal system, judicial review, and parliamentary system of the government. The unitary system of government possesses which of the following advantages? Strong state. Which of the following countries enjoys a federal form of government? United States of America. The English crown is an example of nominal executive. The declaration that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people was made by Abraham Lincoln. What is Gandhi's definition of Ramraj? Sovereignty of the people based on pure moral authority. The most essential feature of the parliamentary form of government is the independent judiciary. Next, statement 1 and the statement 2. The Constitution of India is a liberal constitution, true, and it provides fundamental rights to the individuals. This is also true. Both the statements are individually true and the statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. At which of its session did the Congress officially accept the socialistic pattern of society? Avadi session of 1955. In Indian polity, which one is supreme? The Constitution. In Indian polity, the executive is subordinate to the legislature. Which of the following statements about the federal system in India are correct? The Constitution introduces a federal system as the basic structure of government. This is true. There is a strong admixture of a unitary bias. This is also true. Both the union and state legislatures are sovereign. Now, the legislative, financial, and judicial powers have been divided between the union and its units. Now, who among the following gave the following statement about the Indian Constitution? Indian Constitution strikes a good balance between extreme rigidity and too much flexibility. Alexandrovich. Assertion reason. Indian Constitution is quasi-federal. True. Indian Constitution is neither federal nor unitary. This is false. Which of the following official documents is related with India? White paper. What is white paper? Mention it in the comments. Which one of the following is a basic feature of the presidential government? Single executive. The cardinal features of the political system in India are: it is a democratic republic, it has a parliamentary form of government, the supreme power vests in the people of India. These three are the true. It provides for a unified authority. Now, where was the concept of written constitution first born? United States of America. Where was the first parliamentary form of government formed? Britain. Mention the comment that which country has the longest written constitution? Who called Indian federalism as the cooperative federalism? G. Austin. The Constitution of India is partly rigid, partly flexible. Next chapter: Sources of the Constitution. The concept of judicial review in our Constitution has been taken from the Constitution of United States of America. The Constitution of India borrowed the scheme of Indian Federation from the Constitution of Canada. The federal system with strong center has been borrowed by the Indian Constitution from Canada. The idea of including the emergency provisions in the Constitution of India has been borrowed from the Weimar Constitution of Germany. This is from Germany. The office of Lokpal and Lokayukta in India is based on which of the following ombudsman in Scandinavia? Matching. List one is the provision of Constitution of India and list two are the source. Preamble. Directive principles. Constitution of Ireland. These are taken from the Ireland. Emergency provisions of President. These are taken from the Germany. The Union and State relations. This is taken from the Canada. Amendments of the Constitution. This is taken from the South Africa. Indian Constitution has taken certain features of the Constitution of the constitutions of other countries. Which country has contributed to the framing of the DPSPs, which is Directive Principles of State Policies? Ireland. Which of the following was the biggest source for the Constitution of India? The Government of India Act 1935. Matching. List 1 item in the Indian Constitution, list 2 country with which has been derived. India as union of states with great powers to the union. Canada, taken from Canada. Fundamental rights, taken from United States of America. DPSPs, taken from Ireland. Concurrent list in union-state relations, taken from Australia. Next chapter, the preamble, very very important. Of the following words in the preamble of the Constitution of India, which was not inserted through the Constitution, which is 42nd Amendment Act 1976? Dignity, other socialist, secular, integrity. These three are included in the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. At the time of enactment of the Constitution, which one of the following ideals was not included in the preamble? Socialist. Which Amendment Act introduced changes in the preamble to the Indian Constitution? The 42nd Amendment Act 1976. The preamble of our Constitution reads India as sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Which amendment of the Indian Constitution inserted the two words socialist and secular in the preamble? 42nd Amendment. For which one of the following judgments of Supreme Court of India, the Keshavananda Bharati versus State of India case is considered a landmark? The basic structure of the Constitution, as defined in the preamble, cannot be changed. In which amendment the words socialist, secular, and unity and integrity of the nation were added to the preamble of Constitution of India? 42nd Amendment. Consider the following words and choose the response that gives the correct in the preamble. Okay. Sovereign, socialist, secular, then democratic. The ideals and objectives outlined in the preamble of the Indian Constitution have been further elaborated in the chapter on DPSP, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Which among the following is the correct expression of the term secular in India? There is no religion of the state in India. Which one of the following describes India a secular state? Preamble of the Constitution. Which one of the following liberty is not embodied in the preamble to the Constitution of India? Economic liberty. Which of the following is correct? Social equality is guaranteed in our Constitution. Which one of the following words was not included in the preamble of the Indian Constitution in 1975? Integrity. Other three are included. The preamble of the Indian Constitution adopted on 26th November 1949 did not include the terms socialist, integrity, and secular. These were included under 42nd Amendment Act in 1972. Consider the following statements about the preamble of the Constitution. The objective resolution proposed by Pandit Nehru ultimately became the preamble. True. It is not justiciable in nature. True. It cannot be amended. No. It cannot override the specific provisions of the Constitution. This is true. What was the exact constitutional status of the Indian Republic on 26th November 1950 when the Constitution was inaugurated? A sovereign democratic republic. The word secularism was inserted in the preamble of the Indian Constitution by 42nd Amendment. Indian Constitution declares India a secular state. This means that the state regards religion as a private affair of the citizen and does not discriminate on this basis. The preamble to the Constitution declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. Next, parts, articles, and schedules of the Constitution. Most important topic in the Indian polity. From the following languages listed in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, pick out of the one which is official language of the state, Urdu. The item education belongs to the concurrent list. How many schedules the Constitution of India contains? 12. Initially, how many schedules were present, and after that, how many schedules were added, and what are those amendments? Mention those in the comments. Which article of the Indian Constitution provides for the institution of Panchayat Raj? Article 40. Article 1 of the Constitution declares India as Union of States. How many articles are there in the Indian Constitution? 395, but currently which are 448. Although Union list, state list, and concurrent list cover the entire legislative business, yet there may be an item not mentioned anywhere. Who will legislate on that item? Parliament only. Which part of the Indian Constitution deals with fundamental rights? Part 3. Part 4 of the Constitution of India deals with DPSPs. Power, authority, and responsibilities of municipalities are listed in which one of the following schedules of the Constitution of India? 12th. How many languages were recognized under the Constitution? 22nd. As we all know, child labor is totally banned in India under Article 24. As per the child means a person who has not completed 14 years of his or her age. Under which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India is the annual financial statement of the economy to be laid by the government on the table of the Parliament before 31st March every year? Article 112. Which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India has provision for the President to proclaim emergency? Article 352. What is Article 356 and what is Article 360? These two are also the emergencies. Mention those in the comments. Schedule 9th of the Indian Constitution deals with certain acts and regulations of state legislatures dealing with the land reforms and abolition of Jamindari. The method of constitutional amendment is provided in Article 368. Part 3 of the Constitution of India relates to fundamental rights. Article 340 of the Constitution of India provides for the appointment of a commission to investigate the condition for the improvement of socially and educationally backward classes. The articles of the Constitution of India which deals with the DPSPs are from Article 36 to 51, which are under Part 4. Consider the following statements. The Article 20 of the Constitution of India that states that no person can be convicted for any offence except for the violation of law in force at the time of the commission of the act changed as an offence. This is true. Article 21 of the Constitution of India lays down that no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. This is also true. With what subject of the article, what subject to the Article 5 to 11 of the Constitution of India deals with citizenship. Which of the following are stated as DPSPs by Article 51 of the Constitution of India? The state shall endeavour to promote international peace and security, maintain just and honourable relations between the nations, encourage settlement of international disputes by the arbitration. These three are right. Under which article of the Constitution of India can the President of India be impeached? Article 61. Matching list 1 schedule of the Constitution of India and list 2 subject. First schedule, the state. Eighth schedule, languages. Ninth schedule, validation of certain acts and regulations. Tenth schedule, provisions as to disqualification by the ground of defection. In which part of the Constitution details of citizenship are mentioned? In Part 2. According to Article 164 of 1 of the Constitution of India, in three states there shall be a minister in charge of tribal welfare who may in addition be in charge of the welfare of the scheduled castes and backward classes. Which of the following states is not covered by the article? Punjab is not covered under this article. The Veerappa Moily Commission, in its report on administration reforms, among other aspects, has suggested doing away with one of the following pairs of articles of the Constitution of India: Article 310 and Article 311. This article of the Constitution of India gives precedence to constitutional provisions over the laws made by the Union Parliament or state legislatures. 245. Which one of the following provisions of the Indian Constitution deals with the appointment and dismiss of the Council of Ministers? Article 75. For distribution of powers between the Union and the states, the Constitution of India introduced three lists. Which two of the following articles govern the distribution of powers? Article 245 and Article 246. The Constitution of India does not clearly provide for the freedom of press, but this freedom is implicit in the Article 19, subclass 1A. Which article of the Constitution of India deals with the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in connection with constitutional cases? Article 132. Read with the Article 134A. The 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution deals with anti-defection legislation. Matching list 1 of the articles and list 2 of the provisions. Article 54. Election of the President of India. Article 75. Appointment of the Union Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Article 155. Appointment of the Governor. Article 164. Appointment of the State Chief Minister and Council of Ministers. Procedure for creation of Legislative Council in states has been described in which article of the Constitution? Article 169. Which of the Constitution provision lays down that taxes can neither be levied nor collected without the authority of law? Article 265. Functions to be assigned to panchayats by 73rd Amendment of the Constitution or mentioned in 11th Constitution. Oh, sorry, 11th Schedule. What is 12th Schedule? Mention it in the comments. Another matching, list one of the parts of Indian Constitution and list two of the provisions. Part 4A, the fundamental duties. Part 8, the union territories. Part 9, the panchayats. Part 9A, the municipalities. Article 249 of the Indian Constitution deals with legislative power of the parliament with respect to a matter in the state list, which provision relating to the fundamental rights is directly related to the exploitation of children. Article 24. Another matching, list 1 articles and list 2 are the provisions. Article 14, right to equality. Article 36, directive principles. Article 74, council of ministers. Article 368, amendment procedure. The article of Indian Constitution related to abolition of untouchability is Article 17. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment. And this statement refers to which of the following articles of the Constitution of India? Article 51A. Which article of Indian Constitution enumerates fundamental duties of Indian citizens? Article 51A. Under which article of the Indian Constitution can the President be impeached? Article 61. Which one of the following pairs is properly matched? Election Commission of India, which comes under Article 324. Under which article is the Supreme Court of India comes and the UPSC comes and the Attorney General comes? Mention those articles in the comments. By which name or names is our country mentioned in the Constitution? India and Bharat. The constitutional states has been given to panchayats under Article 243. Under which article of the Constitution of India can the Indian Parliament make laws under the residuary powers? Article 248. The executive power of the state are vested in the governor under Article 154, subclause 1 of the Constitution. The Finance Commission is constituted under Article 280 of the Constitution of India. Which article of the Constitution provides that it shall be the endeavour of every state to provide adequate facility for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education? Article 350A. Which one of the following statements correctly describes the fourth schedule of the Constitution of India? It allocates seats in the Council of States. Next matching. Articles of the Constitution list 2 provisions. Article 54, election of the President of India. Article 75, appointment of the Prime Minister. Article 155, appointment of the Governor of the State. Article 164, appointment of the Chief Minister and Council of Ministers of State. Another matching, list one of the articles and list two of the provisions. Article 16.2, no person can be discriminated against in the matter of public appointment on the ground of race, religion, or caste. Article 29.2, no citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving state aid on grounds of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. Article 30, subclause 1, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have to be established and administer educational institution of their choice. Article 31, subclause 1, no person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. The ninth schedule to the Indian Constitution was added by First Amendment. What is the ninth schedule and in which year it was added? Mention it in the comments. Which one of the following articles of the Indian Constitution provides that it shall be the duty of the Union to protect every citizen against external aggression and internal disturbance? Article 355. Which one of the following schedules of the Indian Constitution lists the name of states and specifies their territories? First schedule. Which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India says that the executive power of every state shall be so exercised as not to impede or prejudice The exercise of the executive power of the Union. Article 215. This is placed in which part of the Indian Constitution of India? Mention it in the comments. Another matching. List 1 are the articles and list 2 are the provisions. Article 14. The state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of laws within the territory of India. Article 15. The state shall not discriminate against any citizen on grounds of only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. Article 16. There shall be equality of opportunity for all citizens in matters relating to employment or appointment to any office under the state. Article 17. Untouchability is abolished and its practice in any form is forbidden. Which article of the Constitution of India says no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mines or engaged in any other hazardous employment? Article 24. Consider the following statements, and among these three, which are the correct statements? The Constitution of India has 22 parts. True. There are 395 articles in the Constitution of India. True. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th schedules were added to the Constitution of India by the Constitution Amendment Acts. This is also correct. All three are right. Under which one of the following Constitution Amendment Acts four languages under the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India, thereby raising their number to 22? 92nd Amendment Act. Initially, there are how many languages under 8th schedule? And after that, after each amendment, how many amendments have been made to add the languages to the 8th schedule? And how many amendments are there? And what are the languages added? Mention those in the comments. The schedule of the Constitution of India contains special provisions for the administration and control of scheduled castes in several states. Fifth schedule. In our next reading video, we will continue with the union and the territory. Let's stop over here. Thank you.